Good
Sorry, I was
morning, everybody. Welcome to episode 23 of the Ladies Wot Pod. And if we were overexcited last week, we've gone off the scale this week. It's just unbelievable.
Epic excitement.
And actually, we've got new toys to play with because after our technological troubles last week, I've gone and bought the Rolls Royce of podcasting software, and it's like Jodrell Bank. Liz fortunately can't see it because it would scare the whatsits out of her.
Well, I have an IT department for that very reason.
Yeah, well, your IT department had loads of fun with this thing. Anyway, so we're going to try a few things out today. It's Sunday, for those of you who haven't worked it out. So we actually don't know when the Saints are going to be playing. We've just been having a conversation about logistics, which we'll talk more of, I'm sure, at some point today. But I suppose we ought to start with last night's match against the Vodacom Bulls. A game of two halves, as they say, in football parlance, well, in sporting parlance, I suppose. Let's go through it. But the semi-finals, here we come. First semi-final in the Champions Cup since 2011. Gosh, that seems a long time ago.
Oh, it is a long time ago. Gosh, yes. I wasn't a granny.
You went to granny then? Oh, wow. Well, I'm still not a granny, so, you know. But yes, so it was a balmy evening at the Gardens. One of those ones where you get a nice sunset just as the match is starting. Yeah. It was lovely. Yeah. It didn't.
Sorry, I didn't realise when you say a balmy evening, it could have gone both ways.
Oh yeah, it could have been. It was balmy, yes, particularly the first half.
Bonkers, yeah.
Bonkers. What were we trying? We had passes out the back and all sorts. And it seemed to be give it to Trocky because he wants to smash a few South Africans.
Yeah, very much so.
And then it didn't really work because we kind of left Trocky to it, which seemed a bit harsh. But there you go. It's a great win. I'd say the first half was a bit loose, to say the least. But still, saying that, we still scored some absolutely gorgeous tries. And James, I mean, there are so many names we're going to mention today. It really is a team that is, well, doing the business. Absolutely.
Firing on all cylinders, I think.
Firing on all cylinders. I think our halfbacks got a bit over. Talk about us getting overexcited. I think our halfbacks got a bit overexcited in the first half.
I think there was a bit of silliness going on there from time to time.
Yeah, we'd had too much cake. I think, you know. You hadn't put in the lemon drizzle, delivered a lemon drizzle.
I hadn't, but it was Ollie's birthday, so I wonder if they'd had sweets beforehand. You know what it's like. Haribos. They might have had Haribos. That might have made them silly.
Well, something was going on. Going on. I don't think Mr. Vesti was too chuffed. So anyway,
I was going to say, who knows what the shape of our D was? At one point, it was possibly Z-shaped. I think it was.
Well, it was or a squiggle. It was very weird. It was very weird. Oh, so Liz, the Rolls Royce of podcasting software has presented Liz with a challenge which I haven't met. So I know, and the IT department's gone AWOL. So on both sides.
So I'm just flying this plane from.
Yeah, so Liz will be running the flight bookings for Dublin.
Yes, I will. This is the call centre for our flight bookings.
Yes.
Will you one moment, caller?
You're next to Hilly at the back.
Where?
Dearie.
Anyway, yes. So back to the silliness of last night, as opposed to the silliness of this morning. Now we have a conundrum because I went to the loo when we were 28-10, was it, ahead? I went to the loo because they were attacking down our end. I thought we need to change this. So I went to the loo, and when I came back, it was 28-22. So I don't know what was going on. We
Well,
have a theory. We have a theory now that possibly if we're behind and I go to the loo, it works.
yeah.
If we're ahead, no, don't go to the loo.
Don't go to the loo. Right. Okay.
So behind or drawing, plan A, I go.
Right.
Look, Matt, who sits in front of me, he went. Didn't come back from the half time because he was queuing for the loo till after the first try. So I said, right, when we're ahead, you go. So I said, you can just stay out there now. So
Poor love.
No, I did let him back in. I didn't think to let him in.
How long have you banned him for?
So that was interesting. But I thought it was you got the almost the fact that we're playing an unknown, we're playing a South African side. They'll be very physical. We don't know what's happening. We don't know what they're doing. We don't know what we're doing. Ish.
Yeah.
In the first half, and then we got to grips with what they were bringing and just ran away with it.
Yeah. And yes, but I think the good bits of the first half were Courtney's try, which was just a thing of beauty, absolute thing of beauty. 2 locks hurtling down the pitch isn't a sight. Oh, wonderful! And James Ram again, although he's not aiming for the hat. But anyway, Mitch had a go at aiming for the hat and ended up being stripped of the ball. But there was some great try. I didn't get Mitch's second try because I had Lewis Loveland's bum in my face. Not literally in my face, but Lewis was too busy warming up, outrageously warming up.
Oh, how very dare he!
How very dare he!
Talking of bottoms, we were very disconcerted. It was noticeable for us in the second half, obviously, because then they were playing that way. So we saw more of their bottoms, of the South African, with that weird patch on, which from a distance I kept going, oh my God, what am I feeling?
It looked flesh-coloured, didn't it?
It did. And I said to the woman, I thought something, and she said,
something's gone amiss.
It's not just me. And there's a whole conversation about it on Facebook. But it really was. Even when you knew it was this bizarre patch, it still looked very
strange. Very strange underneath the lights.
Like they've got 15 builders out there. Very, very weird.
Yeah, very weird indeed. So, yes. So
that's enough bottoms for now.
That's enough, more than enough bottoms. Anyway, so I think we went in 28-22, as you said, at half time. And then the second half,
just
boom. It was like the team had got themselves together and gone, right, let's stop arsing about.
You mentioned bottoms again. Arsing about. No more bottoms.
It was a theme,
It was a theme.
And Alex Cole's try. Oh, a thing of
it's just amazing. Yeah,
just amazing. And away we went, and then we ended up nilling them in the second half.
Second time.
So we absolutely remembered the shape of our D, and it was a masterclass.
I think it went back to being D-shaped. I presume.
We went back. We've never found out what the actual shape is, but whatever it was appropriate to the D. I absolutely. I had a ball with the cameras, and well done to Fraser Dingwall, who aimed beautifully for the hat. But Finn's pass to him was just delicious. It was great.
Didn't he deserve that try after being dropped on his head by one of those brutish South Africans?
Yeah, and how did that not? I mean, you heard Courtney ask, how was that not a red? I think it was because Fraser protected himself and folded himself up.
It was because he put his arm out, so he didn't land on his head.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. That is so we went from the slightest looking at a player's head red cardness of a few seasons ago to now being so lax. I mean, it was a just a ridiculous tackle and
utterly ridiculous tackle, and somewhat sheepish number 8 trotted off. I can't remember his name. I've got the team sheet. Where is it? Oh, he's got one of the more... I must admit, my Afrikaans is not up to standard. Cameron Hanekom trotted off for a quick rest. Bless him.
Yes. He knew, didn't he? He knew.
Oh, he knew. He had that sort of...
When Mathieu was calling for the captain and he was there, number 8 was first. Yes, I'm sorry, and it was me. Only, obviously, with a broad South African accent. But talking of accent... No, we'll come on to that later. I was going to say, talking of accent. Some surprising French being spoken, yeah. And
then it became it was one-way traffic. That the try that wasn't given because of the foul play was really their last act in the game as we just took control. One of the most gratifying things, and I was at training on Thursday. I wasn't sure I was going to make it because I had some working commitments, but I did. Fergs was basically talking to his flock, saying, if we scrummage the way we're training, they will not live with it. And they didn't. They didn't. I haven't seen Fergs. I mean, Fergs is pretty animated in training, but he was off the scale on Thursday. He was really going for it, and it's fun to photograph. There was some pretty serious scrummaging going on.
There was some awesome scrummaging because this was Jake White, wasn't it? We are the most physical side in the world.
Yeah.
I think something.
And that jarred with clearly the squad and Fergs and everybody, and they wanted to put one over on them, and they did.
And watching that front row of Big Trev, Curtis and Manny, that boy is week on week. You can see him growing and
absolutely. And Alex, we talk about the man who's got 3 million, Saints caps.
Yes.
He must now feel that his mantle is.
He's handing it over to. Yeah.
He's handing it over slowly to Manny, who has really stepped in. Interestingly, on the TNT commentary, because I've already watched the match, they were talking about Manny, but they've got another person that we need to remember who is also a rising star at Loosehead, and that's Tarek Afar.
Yes.
So he's been very impressive when he came on, and he's already on England's radar. They had him in the England A squad. So Tarek and Manny, you can see them battling it out in the coming years.
What I've seen of Tarek, I've been impressed with is just he just goes about his business. Doing proper stuff. Very much like on the other side, Big Trev. Big Trev.
I so wanted Big Trev to score, partly because it was in front of me, partly because it was 2 tight heads. It's not often that you see a fly half kick through for 2 tight heads to run after it. But we know that Big Trev has that in his locker. And so, Finn had no qualms at all about setting Big Trev off on one of his runs. I so wanted him to score. Yes.
He's saving it for Croke Park, I hope.
Yes. Now, that would be fun.
That would be fun.
So I think the scrum did its job, really did its job beautifully. The line-out was absolutely secure. Both Sam and Curtis were absolutely secure. And I think that's the thing these days. And Dr. Jones and I were musing this morning. When the bench comes on, there isn't. We talked about this before. There isn't a flicker. It's like, it's Tom James. It's Alex Waller. It's Paul Hill. Yeah. I have to say, Hilly's scrummaging at the end of the game.
It was brilliant.
Brilliant.
Solid.
Really good. Really good. And he was clearly enjoying himself because he actually smiled. What's going on there?
Talking of smiling, just watching the game, we watched the first half and then the interviews when we got back last night whilst trying to book hotels, and Ollie Slytome smiled.
Yes, smiled in the changing room as well.
I know,
his birthday only happens once a year, so I don't think we were close to DEFCON 3 with that try.
We were.
But we weren't quite there. I think we're still at DEFCON 2.5.
I think so. I think so.
Yeah.
It was moving up. I think it moved up when Fraser got dropped on his head. I think
Yeah.
that was,
He was back to,
nobody does that to my mates. That we were moving up in that direction.
Yes.
And a few of the rather dodgy tackles.
Yes.
I think one was on Ollie, and certainly George got throttled at one point, and as did Finn.
Mm.
Yeah. So we decided that the French interpretation of where your neck is
starts at your ears.
Well, yeah, it's wherever it's completely different.
Works your way down.
Shoulder goes all the way through.
Your earrings are all right, so you know.
Yeah. Very bizarre. Very, very bizarre. But
A word for Monsieur Reynal. I thought he was outstanding last night.
Apart from that, I thought he and his team were brilliant. Their communication with each other, you could tell that he wanted the communication coming in from all sides. So his assistant refs were talking to him. The TMO was constantly watching and saying, no, rien, allez. It was always going on. En avant is when he was spotting forward passes. He was obvious. They were all communicating so well. It was really, really good. And it didn't spoil the flow of the game because
no, not at all. No, not at all. No. But he's a bit like Alex Waller, who's described that he's taking in every moment now. Because he knows there's potential. I spotted before the game, and I put it on X this morning. Monsieur Reynal filming the whole of Franklin's Gardens. He stood in the middle of the pitch and did a 306 with his phone, filmed the whole of the stadium.
That makes me feel quite emotional.
I got quite emotional, and I was quite pleased I spotted it because he is a cracking referee, and he's going to be a huge loss to the game. So, but yeah, no, it's not often you see he let his team go back into the hutch, as it were, and then he stood and gave himself a moment to take it all in because he doesn't know whether he's going to be doing the semi-finals or the final.
No, but chances are with a bit of luck, we'll get him.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I really hope so.
He would be my referee of choice. We can't have Carl Dixon. Yay! So that's good.
Could he do next week in the East Midlands Derby? Can we just bring him back in,
Oh, no, please. No.
Not Carl. No. I mean, Monsieur Reynal.
Yeah. I was going to say, it'll be Carl Dixon, I can almost guarantee. And we'll be down to 11 men before half-time.
I think we do need to talk about the format of this competition because it's not working. It's not working.
Rubbish. Absolute rubbish.
I mean, I felt so sorry for the Bulls because, the previous week they'd hammered a French team who'd only sent their second string, and then they themselves had to make the choice over which competition of the three that they're in to prioritise. And it shouldn't be. I mean, as Dr. Jones said, they blast out before the game, this is the world's premier club competition. Well, it isn't, because teams are making the choice, and they're not choosing the Champions Cup unless it's, Leinster and La Rochelle. And you just, the format is not working. And it does kind of signal to the world's, rugby authorities, this World Club Challenge that they're coming up with. Guys, come on. It's not, it doesn't, flying around the world is, it's one thing to do it for test rugby.
It's
club rugby, it's something else. And the whole thing about our sport is that you have a crowd that's made up of opposition and home supporters.
Yeah.
And effectively, they're pricing most supporters out. Bath do it anyway with their ridiculous pricing. But anyway, but you are pricing most supporters out of what's already expensive even when you're travelling around Europe. But you can get the rowing boats and go out across the Irish Sea. But flying to Cape Town, Pretoria, wherever.
Advisor to find cheap trains to go to La Rochelle, but as
exactly,
you say,
there are ways of doing it. But I'm sorry. It should be a European competition for European clubs. I mean, it's been brilliant playing, for the first time, a competitive game against the South African team. But I'm afraid it doesn't work. It does not work. And the sooner we get back to a wholly European competition, the better.
And I think even as well, they were even more disadvantaged because you feel had it been on a Saturday afternoon, that game yesterday, then there's a huge South African contingent in London. They would have come up, but that time on a Saturday night with less
Absolutely.
than a week's notice. Are the trains at that time to get back to London? I doubt it. Are the trains even going to run? Who's on strike? They were never going to have support, and it's
No, it was
some
poor.
then.
It was poor. It was poor.
Yeah.
But it was a good crowd anyway. I felt sorry for the two bull supporters who were sat in front of the media because I don't know who our friend Orla, who normally does TNT, was working for, but she made a beeline for them, and then Graham spotted them. So I think they were taking bookings by the end.
They should have been charging. They should have been charging.
I'd have charged. Yeah, absolutely, I'd have charged. Yeah, so it was... anyway, it's a format thing that we've talked about before. I like the round of 16 thing. I think that works really well because think of the number of dead rubbers we used to have in the old original format of the Heineken.
Yes, when you got to the last knockings.
Yeah, the round of 16 thing is working, but I'm afraid... Come on.
But I think the whole thing about they've got to go back to groups where you know where you are, who you're comparing like for like.
Yeah.
Because it was just so complicated. I'm talking to some of the Munster supporters last week, and they were saying exactly the same thing. Any competition, where as a supporter you need to get out a spreadsheet and a slide rule to work out who the hell you're likely to play next.
Although the bit I do like is not playing teams from the Premiership. You want Europe to be about Europe.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So not playing Exeter was fine by me.
Yeah, but you had to be very unlucky to get another Premiership team in your pool anyway, didn't they? They were fixed.
Well, there are eight of them, so not necessarily.
No, in the old system.
Oh, the old original format, yes.
Yeah,
but it still happened, and you went with the disappointment when we went. Ooh. Yeah, so it's a tricky one, but I think we're all agreed that getting rid of the two pools has worked. Yeah, thank you very much. That was a bit while we were in COVID land. That served a purpose, and has now gone. Yeah. But the South African thing, no, and this World Club Challenge.
No. What?
No.
Somebody on expenses has come up with that idea.
Oh yeah,
because that isn't anybody that's got to fund themselves, is it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Officials who go, oh, that's nice. I can have a holiday in New Zealand, work my way around the world, paid for by somebody else.
Absolutely. So a fine win for the Saints boys. And well done to the club for selling as many tickets as they did. I mean, I've seen a bit of moaning on social media. I don't think people realise how hard it is to sell 15,000 tickets in a week, particularly as we didn't know when it was going to happen. So until very late on. So well done to the club. That was top work by everybody in the commercial team.
I didn't think I would enjoy Saturday night for rugby. I thought it was going to be a bit bizarre, but because it was such a lovely day yesterday, you felt you got the whole day to yourself. And then as meeting up with friends, I said, and Gareth, as you said to me, I told you I'd use it, and we're going out like proper grown-ups at night.
Proper grown-ups on a Saturday night. Who'd have thought?
Out on a Saturday night, yes. So it was good fun, and the atmosphere I thought was cracking. Given there were very few away fans, I just thought the sound was amazing.
Oh yeah, and the lads are clearly enjoying playing in front of it. So well done to everybody concerned.
Strains of Shoe Army at one point as well. As
the Shoe Army song is starting to, we've heard it at away games a lot more than we've heard it at home games.
Yeah.
So it was interesting that the Shoe Army and a few shoes being waved. Whoever was waving the Pringles, what was that about?
Could have been worse. It was what they got in their hand at the time.
Yes, that's true. Yes.
A lovely rendition of "Happy Birthday" for Ollie. I thought.
Yes, very good.
Next week, everybody, it's Tom Litchfield's birthday. If he's on the pitch, we've got to sing him "Happy Birthday" as well.
Well, Mr. Dependable absolutely needs a happy birthday, because he has, one of the things Dals talks about. In fact, now the players talk about is it is a squad effort, and you only have to see the amount of effort everybody puts into training. Doesn't matter whether, although we did have the world's worst boy band watching. I felt so sorry for the travelling substitutes, because they've got to stand there watching what's going on. And then they have to run up and down with Alice, and then they get to sit in the stands, and you just think, oh, that's a tough gig. But it is a squad effort, because training is full on, because they can practice over and over and over again the Saints way, and the lad, Tom Cruise or Elliot, or they're all there, absolutely giving it loads, because without them it wouldn't work. It just would not work. And as we've said before, Angus Scott-Young can come and slot in on the bench, and we don't notice it, because he's been in training, he's been giving it loads, and he came on in the second half and looked absolutely fine as dandy. So it's definitely a squad effort.
Having been to that one training session where the even younger scrum half came to training.
Yes.
No,
the under-18s guy, Vyman. Johnny Vyman. Yes, as opposed to Weismuller.
And seeing how he was put in, and no quarter was given. It was, this is what you and you
play grown-up rugby now.
Yeah, very impressive, and it was obviously working really, really well. So it's very exciting. So the bad bits, do you want to gloss over the strange decision-making in the first
Well, we
half?
talked about it a little bit. We did have some very strange decision-making. And it was, And once they got over their Haribo, overindulgence, and just, knuckle down in the second half, the Bulls couldn't live with them. They really couldn't live with them.
And for all this, it was it wasn't the strongest Bulls side. It was still pretty strong. And Nazim
van der Merwe's no slouch.
No slouch. And knows us. That's the other thing. He picked carefully players that knew Saints of old.
Yes.
At one point, you thought they've not watched up-to-date videos, have they? They are still seeing us under the previous defence incarnation. But Nazim Carr as well. I mean, I can remember him causing us trouble when he was at Wasps.
Yeah, so absolutely he did. Yeah, no, he was a real live wire.
Yeah, so I think we you can only play what's in front of you, and we played them like a fiddle. Anyway, so
we've got 2 awards to hand out.
Oh, we have.
Do you want to go with the Sgt Wilson? Sgt Wilson, of course, returned last night.
I know.
Cameo appearance, looking quite sprightly as he came on. However, we're not going to give Sgt Wilson his own award, are we?
No, we're not. And this was above and beyond the Call of Duty and hysterically funny, I thought, when on my ref link, suddenly there's somebody speaking French to the ref. Oh my God, it's Curtis. Nobody panic, but Curtis is speaking French to the ref. I recognised it as French. I'm not sure Mathieu did, but I think... But it seemed to work. So outstanding engagement with the ref there. And so he gets the Sgt Wilson Award for outstanding polite engagement with the ref for the 3rd week running, Curtis.
Although I have to say, I'm going to put a shout out. I'm going to put a shout out for the skipper.
Yes.
Courtney, who very politely, would you mind awfully? Well, it would.
Yes.
Having a look at what happened over there as Fraser is lying in a crumpled heap, and and it worked.
Although Courtney asks politely, it's all done with a certain amount of 6'7" of menace, though, isn't it?
Yes, it's like, you will look, won't you, sir?
Yes, I am asking
you can't really
nicely,
say no, can you?
and I'm looming over you in a nice and polite way. But yeah, it was Courtney. I thought Courtney handled stuff really well. But then I've been impressed with him when he's been England skipper as well. I just think
I think being England skipper stood him in good stead, ironically. Most people learn at club level, but he went the other way round.
Learned at international level. Yes. And he's sort of learned, it's not his style to scream and shout and be an idiot.
No.
So he went completely the other way and realised that's what gets you the results much better. And then you don't have the testy exchanges with Luke Pearce that certain Mr. Farrell had last week. So.
Yes. Well, so well done, Curtis. Third week on the trot, and make sure, Curtis, you need to give the boxes back if you're going to get some pikelets.
Yep.
Yeah, you know, Liz is not going to hand them over as a sort of little pile, you know.
Pile of pikelets.
He's some pikelets. You've got to give the boxes back, lad. And then she can deliver some more. Meanwhile, a certain zebra,
Pikelet the zebra, has his own room.
Has his own room, and so not only is Curtis actually called him Pikelet, very good, well done. He's got his own room.
Well, he said the actual quote was, he's now got a spot in the spare room. Well, I think that makes it Pikelet's room.
It's Pikelet's
spare room now. It's Pikelet's
you'll have all these other, zebra friends round. It'll be party central before we know it.
Well, there's enough of them.
We've got 6 of them now, so
there's enough of a herd living around Northampton, isn't there? They're all probably quite close, I suspect. So
yes, well. And then the second award, Ladies Wot Pod Award, I am going to make a bid for Alex Coles.
Yes, good shout. I was driving thinking I've going to have to really give this some thought, because it was, again, because it's such a team effort, it's really hard to pick out. But Alex Coles, for that try, for the run up, the gallop up the pitch that led to Courtney's try, and mastery in doing stuff. The engine room of the
absolutely, it's his physicality. It's putting himself about a bit, being in the key areas in the pitch. He has a lot of work to get through, and then he produces moments of wonder. And things have speeded up. If you remember his very first try, Luther was sat in an armchair watching Alex. Joy Neville had her arms crossed, waiting.
In your own time.
So things have moved on since the Timisoara at the Gardens days. But he's turned into a fine player, and I thought last night's performance was brilliant.
And the things, I think you don't realise how strong he is, because he doesn't look like one of these huge, I was going to say, South African spring to mind second rows, but he's if I say he's bigger than he looks, that doesn't make any sense at all. But his muscle, pound for muscle must be amazing.
Well, him and Alex Moon put it about a bit, and of course when you swap out Alex Moon and bring on Tamo, it's just like another beast comes on, enforcing things happily. So our engine room is looking mint at the minute.
Purring.
And it's purring. And as one of the leaders in the team, Alex sets the tone. So, absolutely. Congratulations, Alex. Ladies Wot Pod.
He must be quite old now. Is he about 24 or something ridiculous?
Something like that, yes. Man of Cambridgeshire. Cambridgeshire, we've got to get in there in the end.
So he's got a zebra.
He comes from south of the city, because I live north of the city. Yes. So well done, Alex. It was a flipping brilliant performance. And then, we've got TV Watch on our little
have
screen.
got TV Watch, yes. Yeah.
TV Watch. I really like the TNT meandering about. Alex, I don't know whether Alex had actually been asked to go and have a chat with Sarah, or whether he was just loitering in the hope that she might spot him. How is she supposed to miss him? I've got no idea. But all of us, I mean, I was trying to take photographs of Sarah because, and actually talk to her, but then I realised she was broadcasting, partly because Junior Brando gave me the look. She's broadcasting, Claire. Oh, okay. And the reason I wanted to talk to Sarah is she won an award this week. Yes. She is the presenter of the year for her work at the World Cup from the Royal Society Television Awards. So congratulations to Sarah. She is a fine broadcaster, and these days she's so relaxed. She understands. Well, I mean, as you said, and you and I have talked about it before. I mean, her history in the sport is remarkable. But she uses it so well, and her insight is brilliant.
She's got the confidence now to actually use her knowledge of the sport and not have to be the token blonde, which when she was first
started, you did feel that there was a bit of that going on.
There was a lot of hair flickered and airhead questions. Whereas now they're
well, and it wasn't helped by the fact that people like Simon Manoa used to. Do you remember he used to put his arm around her? Only he was on his hip. So it's like, the players have, behave. I mean, it was funny at the time, but you realise actually it wasn't particularly respectful. And she's quite happy to get. I mean, she is married to the Irish defence coach, very, Mr. Easterby. Yes. And so she knows her stuff. And when she says she's she's enjoying a match, you actually do think she's enjoying a match.
Genuine enjoying it, yeah. And I think that's the other thing. She's just become more confident to let herself come out, and she asks questions in a way with that smile that are quite incisive that other people wouldn't have. Like with Mitch, like saying to Douse. So Mitch says, which actually she did misquote him, I have to say. Mitch said, we'd spoken about going as far as we could, not about going to the semi-final. So she dropped Mitch in it by misquoting him. Just like with my two trained legal head and journalist head on, she got it wrong there. Yeah, in my client's defence.
In your client's defence, Mitch didn't say that, but it was still funny anyway.
It was very funny. It was even funnier watching Douse's reaction. Yeah. But I did love Douse as well. So, well, Alex Mitchell never listens to a word anyway. He just wants to be off running after a ball. That's exactly what we've said. That is exactly what we've said about him.
Yes, he just wants to run around like a Labrador puppy chasing after a ball. Yeah. Yes. But anyway, congratulations to Sarah. TNT, I think, did a good job last night. Did. Some of the punditry was a bit weird, but then we did have the little Thatch one.
He seems to be having a bit of a love affair with us. I'm a bit worried.
Well, yes, he's had to go off and wash himself in bleach, I think. He said nice things about us all.
That'll change next week. That'll be all right.
Anyway,
everybody's
I didn't listen to the radio. I was listening this morning to. I was trying to listen to the radio last night. So I'm now wired for sound, literally, with my new hearing aids. So I thought I'd play Radio Northampton through my ears, as it were. But then about 2 minutes into the game, it started saying, upload your music to BBC Sounds. It's like, what? So I stopped listening. As it turned out, there must have been some interruption in the signal or something went awry. Yeah, and it was back on again, but I decided not to chance it, so went to silence.
I was trying to listen to it on catch-up, and it suddenly went off into something very bizarre partway through. So
absolutely. So, but I've listened to it this morning, and I think I told Graham last night. I did have a chat with Graham that he gave Saints 7 out of 10 for last week's performance, which I think was fair. But I said his voice sounded like a 5 out of 10 because it was very down. He was down at the Saints show. But they were spot on with their analysis in the first half. It was all a bit helter-skelter and loose. And I haven't listened to the second half yet, but I'm imagining they're going to cheer up a bit more.
But fair play to the boys if you can be a bit loose and helter-skelter and still be in the lead against a very physical South African side, and then get your head back to where it should be, and just go for broke in the second half.
Because they'll know. I mean, the same way when they played Saracens, when they played other teams, they'll know that they cannot. Oh, there goes my Saint shirt. They'll know that you can't give an inch to a Leinster in the way that they did last night. They'll know that. They've got to come out the traps in the semi-final, as they did against Saracens, incredibly fast. They've got to out-Leinster. And, it's... we should talk about that game, shouldn't we? But before we do, I should talk about what happened in the changing room, shouldn't I?
Yes.
Yes. So I hope I'm not talking out of turn when I talk about this, but I don't think I am. I have to say I was a little bit emotional about this. So, of course, I went into the changing room to take photographs of the song, led by one Ollie Slightholme, man of the match and birthday boy. And he did a great job, and I got some nice photographs of what was going on. But before all that, and even before Douse talked to the team, Jake White asked permission of the coaching team to come in and say a few words to the lads. And his speech was just pure class. It was a lovely thing to do. You could see the players were blown away by it. He was incredibly... I mean, it was just a lovely, lovely thing to do. He was very, very positive about what he'd witnessed. He wished us well. And it wasn't just because he felt... You can see he genuinely felt he'd watched a very, very good team.
That's brilliant.
Teach his team a bit of a lesson, and but he was very, very positive about the Saints and what we're about and the club, and it was just a really classy thing to do, and you could see the players were much taken aback by it.
Such a nice thing. Nice thing.
Really nice thing to do, and he didn't need to do it, But he and it was the fact he asked permission beforehand, so he'd spoken to Douse, and then came in. Yeah,
I was going to say top gent there.
Top gent.
Just to go back to TV Watch.
Sorry.
I do feel we ought to. I do feel we ought to mention Look East. Because, we give them a slagging off when they don't do anything. And they're
yes, Mr. Burridge has been busy again, hasn't he?
Yeah. So, fair play. He managed to get us in there. They've noticed, I don't know for how long, until Stevenage do something in football or somebody does something in trampolining, I expect. But
it was there was a lovely little film about Sam Graham and his knives. He can cut an onion, that boy, can't he?
He's a trained chef. I hope so.
He is a trained chef. Although the story he tells about lending Dylan Hartley his knives is slightly... Yes, when they were at Penny Hill Park, Dylan was doing something with the squad and he asked if he could borrow a knife. So, and of course, chefs have their own knives. So
they do.
Somewhat querulously, not that he was worried about his knife, he was worried what Dylan was going to do with the knife. Borrowed his knife. There you go. Sam is having an outstanding season.
Amazing boy.
He is, that back row last night, outstanding. And well done to Courtney, Sam, and Joanno. And of course, then we bring on Luds and Angus Scott Young, and then Tom Pearson can come back in. I mean, it's just, we talk about it being a squad performance for the season. It's extraordinary. So you're absolutely spot on. We should, don't worry, we'll be behind, as you say, Cambridge losing at whatever. I don't know whether Cambridge lost, and frankly, I don't care. Sorry, Cambridge United supporters. Yes, so Halo. Oh, should we do photography corner or Halo news?
let's do a bit of halos.
How did the halos go?
We did very well. We your husband and I and Penny, we were moved from gate 3. I think we thought we were having way too much fun at gate 3. We moved to gate 1, which was we still had great fun. We'll have great fun wherever they put us. So yes, we helped quite a few people, including a very overexcitable bunch of Americans.
Oh wow!
I know. So for these four people are looking perplexed at things, and we have noticed a flaw. You know, there's a big sign of directions: cinch stand, Barwell stand, by the statue. There's no mention of the church's stand. They weren't looking for the church's stand, but there is no mention of the church's stand.
So if you arrive by taxi or something, you're not. Yeah, your stand doesn't exist. Oh right, okay.
Yes. So this was pointed out. But obviously the signage will all be redone when they
do the whatever it turns into. Yes.
So I was expecting them to speak with South African accents, and they went, "Yes, you can help some dumbass overexcited Americans." And I went, "Whoa!" So they were staying. They're over here from New York and Connecticut, and they're staying in London, and thought they fancied seeing a rugby match, so they'd come up to watch this game, and they got hospitality in the Barwell stand, and they were just lovely. So I hope. What a game! They'd never seen live rugby before.
Wow!
But they were following its growth in the US, and I hopefully will take it back. And I said, when you go back, find Alex Corbusiero and tell him where you've been.
Yeah, so they went, absolutely, and Will Hooley and the gang. Yes, interesting. Tyler Delport was saying that one of the things he loved on TNT, one of the things he loved was the fact the crowd are so close. We talked about Matteo Reynolds taking in the scene. We are so lucky at the Gardens. I mean, it does have its difficulties, but having the crowd really close to the action does add something to the atmosphere. So I'm hoping our American visitors got that, because you can imagine the huge stadiums, whether it's college football or you're in row Z. ZZZ. You're basically watching little dots run around.
Well, it's like, I just wouldn't want to go. It's like do not want to go to Twickenham if ever I'm in the top tier. Number one, I can't look anywhere because I don't do heights. But also, you're so far away from the action, you might as well watch it on the telly.
Although I am still quite glad. I mean, we were in the second row down from the very back row at Twickenham when Ronan O'Gara missed that kick in 2000. So I do the fact that I can say I was there. And I also like the fact that I didn't get wet. Because if you remember, there was a thunderstorm just before kick-off.
Oh, right, yes.
And everybody down the front was soaked. And because we were at the back, we just sat there and watched everybody get soaked. Yeah. So, but you're right. Most of the time, you do not want to be watching little dots. Although I do worry, Croke Park is 82,000. So
yeah, I do worry where our tickets are going to be. But
and I mean, obviously I'm pitch side, but I don't know whether. Yeah, I'm going to have to look at the geography of the. Do I need? Well,
I think. Can we make a bid to take the halos there?
You just want to wear gold all the time, don't you?
Well, to be fair, if we turn up in high vis and a placard, we might struggle to get that on the plane. Turn up in the high vis, you could go anywhere in high vis.
Exactly.
It's a well-known fact.
Yeah, and your labels. So, so Photography Watch, we're going to try something now, and hopefully it appears on the recording. We're going to screen share.
I'm very excited. Yeah, see.
We're going to screen share. So, now I'm not sure, Liz. Can you see anything, Liz?
No, nothing's changed for me.
No, well, I'll do a little bit of a chatter about Photography Corner. So, so I had an absolute blast for the cameras, and as if those of you who've read the match report will have seen, the club clearly enjoyed what I was taking, which is great. And when you get things like James Ram diving in front of you, and which you can see here. Unfortunately, Liz can't, so I really do need to learn how to use the Rolls Royce of this software so you can see what's on screen, Liz. I apologise.
That's all right. I'll imagine it.
You can imagine it. But yeah, so the lights at the Gardens are really good, and I'm hoping that Croke Park, because it is a brand new, it's been revamped. It's an old stadium that's been revamped. Oh, here we go. Is Lewis. You can see Lewis catching the ball. So the lights at the Gardens are excellent, and what it means is you get some really, really good action shots. And I don't think you would have seen if you've been looking at social media. One thing that's happened to me earlier in the season, but it was during the Premiership Rugby Cup, and I wasn't expecting it to happen again, was the lads, I found myself in the huddle.
Oh.
Which was great because I could get some really good photographs of the skipper and a smiling Paul Hill. Yeah, I know.
Wow.
Yeah, look at it. I mean, look, and it's one thing. And I've managed to get a photograph with Sam Matavesi, Paul Hill, Lewis, an enigmatic Manny, and a smiling Courtney. Now you can't do that very often.
No, I'm struggling to imagine that.
Yeah, well, yeah, no, but it's definitely happened. So I had a pretty good evening, and then of course, Birthday Boy led the Shoe Army song, and we'll just have a quick look at that. There we are, giving it loads, everybody cheering, and it was a packed house. And yeah, it is great fun to shoot. It is one of the highlights of my season that it's become such a regular thing. A regular thing. So we'll go back to ordinary. Here we go. We're back again. And we've got graphics that move and everything, and you can't see any of it, Liz. I'm
just here in South Northants.
I know. I've let you down. I've let the podcast down. It's not good. And well, yesterday was also the Battle of Bedfordshire at Ampthill. A narrow loss for the Bedford guys. I believe a number of Saracens guys were in the pack, and I think that made the difference. What also didn't help, and that the observant of you, when you see my photos, will notice, Ameka Atunya had to go off pretty early, well, sort of mid first half, having injured himself. He had his arm in a sling.
I noticed he got his,
So he had to go off in the first half. I didn't do it because I didn't want to run the risk of, not making it to the Gardens for, so far one of our biggest games of the season. But it sounds like, it was a difficult afternoon for the Bedford boys, and the Battle of Bedfordshire went to Ampthill. So a tough loss. The Red Roses. What is occurring? I haven't seen the game. I'm going to watch a rerun of it. They won 46-0, and you think, oh, well, there you go, won at a canter. Rachel Malcolm and her team, it was a sellout crowd at the Hive, which was great.
Oh, that's good, yeah.
Rachel Malcolm and the team will not have been happy with their performance, but the Red Roses' discipline is badly letting them down. Amy Kane came on at hooker. She came into the squad at hooker, having not played for a year, managed to score a try, get a yellow card in the first half, and get sent off in the second. So I know they like to set themselves a challenge, but seriously, guys, I think we need to get
on Dylan or something.
Well, quite. I think we need to work out what's going on here, because the Red Roses' discipline is not good.
Yeah.
Lightning, on the other hand, I think they were in a 5th place playoff in their equivalent of the Premiership Rugby Cup, the Alliance whatever Cup, and they won away at Sale, so well done to them, and they've got the return leg.
Right.
Yeah. So well done to them. So a mixed bag yesterday, one thing and another. Walking rugby. Are you back on the injured list, or are you?
No, I had a cold. Obviously, I had a cold.
It was cold, wasn't it? Yes.
So I went along to watch and interfere, because
Yes.
I had to do a bit of interfering, a bit of coaching.
How was the barn?
The barn was very nice. It was very warm, actually, because it was a very warm evening on Thursday. But they were quite low on numbers, but that was quite interesting, because people were having to find space, make use of the space. So it was good exercise. Always looking for more people to join walking rugby. the idea is it's a different game. This is not rugby done at walking pace. This is walking rugby. So if you think it should be non-contact, it's for all abilities. But I was going to say it's really for older people. So it's where all other avenues of sport have now been closed off. Go for the walking rugby, I think is. But more of us to come along and have fun. Have fun.
Cool.
That's the idea.
That's the idea of it. Excellent. Yeah. Toaster Under Nines, has Harry sent an update, or are they still busily playing?
No, Toaster Under Nines are actually on tour somewhere on the Welsh borders this weekend. But because that was sort of fixed up during the summer before Harry really started playing, he hasn't been. So I was up watching the under sixes.
Wow.
And keeping Harry entertained this morning by doing passing practice. So we did a few passing drills and just get him running round. So I was Alex Mitchell taking the ball from the base, not at the same speed, obviously, and he was Tommy Fremo coming round on the loop, scoring under the posts.
Oh, very nice, very nice, very nice.
And then I was timing him running up and down a lot, so he should be quiet for the rest of the day.
Excellent.
And in the under sixes, Alfie scored a try.
Yay! Well done, Alfie. Does he know the score, or was he just too busy scoring tries?
No idea.
Excellent. So starting the way we need to go on. Brilliant.
A lot of complex swarming around. These are the under sixes.
Yeah, all together, like a little huddle.
Yes. Yeah, all of them on both sides.
Where the coach spends a lot of time lining them up, only for them to go like magnets all back together again. Yeah. Yes.
It is. It's that. Yeah, do you remember you used to get sort of games where you had filings, and that's what the under sixes are like. So.
Yes, and all spend the entire time sticking their
tags back on.
Tags back on. Yes. Oh, those are the days. Hey.
And actually, they were playing bibs and non-bibs, and we realised that the bibs have got a distinct advantage because they don't do bibs in under six sizes. So the bibs are wearing dresses, in effect, that cover their tag. So, yeah.
Excellent.
Never a dull moment. Never a dull moment.
Hide your tag underneath your bib. Very good.
Yeah.
Very good. Actually, last night somebody got very concerned because Hutch wasn't wearing a bib. And this gentleman was remonstrating with me. Well, it means there's been a change in the team, Claire. And I went, no. It just means that, as usual, Hutch has rebelled and not put his bib on. But the guy was not having any of it. And off he went. And lo and behold, the bib appeared and Hutch was made to wear it. So, there you go.
Mind you, those bibs, if they're anything like the ones we have to use for walking rugby, they smell to high heaven. They're disgusting.
Well, they do go into the washing machine occasionally, but you think about a week of running around in them and it's not pleasant.
I don't think they can never get rid of those smells. I don't think. No,
it's not.
You'd have to wash them on a heat that would melt them to get rid of the smell. So,
Yes.
So I'm with Hutch.
One of the options, we ought to talk about logistics for Leinster because we've had a number of options presented to us. So as we record this, we've got no idea when the game is. So I'm actually, Dr. Jones and I are treating it. We're fed up going to Dublin and just going and then coming back. So this time we're going to do a long weekend. We're actually going out on the Thursday and we're coming back on the Monday. So hopefully at some point a game will happen in that window. And we're actually going to go and have a proper explore of Dublin because we've never really, for many a year we haven't done it. So we're going to do a proper explore. But planes, trains and automobiles, one automobile in particular, Kev's van. Apparently we're all going to get into Kev's van and go on the ferry.
Makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, a squad of 45 players and coaches and all the supporters, just tie them with a few ropes.
You see trains in India.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah. As long as my bag ends up on the inside of the van, I think it's a great idea.
I think our plan is Friday to Sunday, so we've not booked the flights yet. We've booked the hotel, but not the flights yet because depending on when the game is, if it's on Sunday afternoon, we'll then fly back later Sunday night.
Right.
But like you, I was saying to my IT department and travelling companion that let's come back later on the Sunday so that we can have a good
proper tour. Yes.
Go out early Friday and then come back later on the Sunday so we can have a really good look around Dublin.
Yeah, have a proper wander about.
The past few times we've been to Dublin, it's been December.
Well, or in my case, COVID. So we literally walked.
Oh, yes.
We walked from the stadium to the RDS. I was saying this to Simon Robinson last night. We walked from the hotel to the RDS in supposedly the red zone in the day, and I'd had all the tests which enabled me to go with the team. And then we arrived at the RDF to see a woman and a bloke with a dog walking towards us, and it's like, hold on, we thought we were in the red zone. And they said, well, we always take our dog for a walk this way. So there was much embarrassment on the part of the, officials who just shooed them off to one side. And so there wasn't a crowd, and it was at the RDS, and of course this is at Croke Park. A ground I've not shot at, so I've got no idea what it's like. It's got a bit of a history, so that's going to be interesting.
Yes. In
English history there, and it was a pretty emotional game when they played there in 2009. They played a test match, so
they did, and it was England, wasn't it? I think,
and it was So be interesting to see how they play that. So I want to go and explore Dublin and actually do a proper job this time.
Yeah.
Actually, so go and look at the Book of Kells and really understand it.
Gosh. So we need to wait and see whether Exeter can do the job over on Toulouse.
Well, yeah, because all the TV schedule is dependent on what happens in Toulouse this afternoon. Then the TV companies will bicker. And if Exeter win, it's Quins at Ashton Gate. If Toulouse win, it's somewhere in France, Marseille, somewhere, I don't know. I didn't take much mind. Against poor old Quins have got to go out again, having a beautiful bonkers game of rugby in Bordeaux. Everybody's favourites, Bordeaux, didn't kind of... There's one thing about our sport. Yeah. In the last few weeks, Quins have been put to the sword by Saracens, who were then put to the sword by Bordeaux, who then were beaten by Quins. I mean, you can't say it's a dull sport.
No.
Although home advantage normally wins out. So, it would have been nice to go to Stadium MK again, but it didn't happen. And La Rochelle, it sounds like they were never in it. When I was looking at the stats,
no.
They were really never in it. I don't know whether their road trip, via wherever in South Africa just did for them. But,
So what do we think? I mean, there seems to be wholesale changes of coaching teams going on in France. The Brive, I mean, we think Courtney might be going out as coach now, mightn't he? Because they've got rid of their coaching team.
Yeah. There's a lot of there's a lot of changes going on. One wonders, I think in the top 14, they're not backwards in coming forwards. The owners at changing their coaching team. So it'd be interesting to see what happens at the end of even before the end of the season. So it's going to be interesting.
Given the way the results went, given Mr. O'Gara, I'm calling him Mr. just to rise above his level. The comments he made about Northampton being a small town team or a small team or something.
They're not the team they were. They're a small club.
But who's in the semi-final?
Yeah.
Mr. O'Gara.
Up your pipe.
Yes. Could I have your views now, please?
Actually, I'm not interested in them. Yeah, I'm not interested in them.
Never really was.
Really not. I'd much rather, we have the grace that we have with our coaching team.
Yeah, I did get a wry smile out of him when we were at La Rochelle when he was walking in with his hood up because I think he was still banned.
He was banned.
I thought you were.
But I thought you were banned. It's like, what's all that about? I mean,
Yeah.
Anyway, hey ho. Anyway. So next week.
Oh, next week I'll be back to pacing.
I mean, it's like, and Douse, the players and Douse are already talking about it. I mean, Fergs has talked about it in the past, and they've all talked. They're already planning the next game before they play the last game, so they will have been planning what they're going to do this week with the East Midlands derby. And the players and the coaches, they just want to keep going. But of all the games, we want them to win.
Yeah, very much. And it's an interesting one, isn't it? I was watching, I think it was the pod with Jim Hamilton and Dan Bigger.
Yeah.
And they were discussing Saints, and again, even Jim Hamilton just dripping over Saints, really, and saying that it's a really hard run in and fighting on the causes on two fronts. Can they do it? And Dan Bigger said, I think if any side can, this side can, because they are so young. And I thought, actually, that makes a huge difference of energy levels.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And they are just loving. They don't want to rest. They are loving the big games.
There is no fear now. We've got to put our game on the pitch. This is the phrase you hear all the time. Put our game on the pitch, play our way. And just do what we need to do. Not worry about the opposition in the way that we would have done in the past. No. And cracking.
Oh, let's see if we can declaw some Tiggers next Saturday.
I hope so. It's a 3:05 kickoff at the Gardens, so I actually get some daylight.
Just a quickie before we go. Saint Supporters Club.
Yes. How are you all?
We're all very well. As members of Saint Supporters Club, you should have had an email asking you to vote in the Player of the Season. If you haven't had that email, can you get in touch with us via the website and say, my email has got lost in the ether? Because there is always, when you're mass emailing, there's always glitches. So please let us know if you haven't had the email.
Yeah, get your vote in. Dr. Jones was mulling.
I'm still mulling. Coaches for Quins sold out.
Brilliant. Well done.
There are still some spaces on the coach for Bath. So as somebody said, are they running a coach? I was going to stay, but having had to sell a kidney to buy my ticket, I can't afford to now. So they didn't use the phrase selling a kidney. I just chucked that in for comic effect. But if you want to go to Bath and you're thinking, if I either go and don't watch the game and pay for a hotel, but the coach, I can't remember how much it is, 30 quid, something like that. So, go by coach. Go by coach. It'll be fun. Yeah. Still some spaces left.
Excellent. Well,
brilliant if you could sell that out.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really looking forward to the East Midlands derby. It is a cracking game. It is one of the highlights of the season. It is a sellout. I mean, the club's revenues at the moment are getting a well-earned. Yeah, well earned, because well earned by the commercial team, well earned by obviously the coaches and the players, and actually by the supporters who are turning out in their droves to support this wonderful team. And I like the fact that we've got Americans coming up from London to come and see us. I like the fact that we're attracting new supporters, and the word is spreading. So absolutely, this can only be good news for the sport.
Well, I think that alone, we were growing. My little contribution helped grow the game there. I think.
Absolutely, it did. There is one thing I've forgotten, and I don't want to leave on a negative, but I'm going to mention it. Stephen Jones, bog off.
Oh.
His article in the Times about wasps. It just no. So today, Stephen has given away what he's really after. So he writes about the fact it would be commercial suicide if the championship.
It's in today's Times. I might go and get it.
Yeah, it'd be commercial suicide if the championship clubs didn't let wasps come back. And I thought to myself, hold on a minute, you just told the lie. This whole thing so far has been painted about Wasps, London Irish and Worcester. You've just given the game away, mate, because all you and your chums are interested in is looking after your mates who are former members of Wasps. No. We've got. I am. Ask somebody from London Welsh. Who are clawing their way back. What? Seriously. And London Welsh. You're telling me that London Welsh don't have a history? So,
Richmond,
absolutely. So get lost, Mr. Jones. This, we understand that we might have to change the pyramid, but just shoehorning in one club. Let's be clear here. We're now talking about, the truth be told, what we're really worried about is Wasps. No, we're not. Off.
I know how we. But to counteract that, Will Kelleher, his interview with Alex
was yesterday. Marvellous. Absolutely marvellous.
Absolutely beautiful. You could hear Alex talking through it. It was just
it was a gorgeous interview. Absolutely gorgeous interview. And
well done, Will Kelleher. More of Will, less of Stephen Jones, please.
Absolutely. There's also, I haven't seen it, but Finn was in the Daily Mail yesterday. And the only reason I know he was in the Daily Mail yesterday, because I think some of my photos, with my permission, were used as part of the article, because, of course, Finn won the Blackiston Challenge. He was being interviewed by one Mr. Dan Bigger.
Oh, well.
So, but it was behind the paywall, and I already paid for enough subscriptions in my life without worrying about the Daily Mail.
Not going to pay for them.
No.
In any way, shape, or form.
No, they can off as well. But Mr. Bigger interviewed young Finn, which is great, and it is at last. It is great to hear something being spoken of our beloved club. And a really positive view of our beloved club. So this is the Ladies Wot Pod episode 23. We learned that the Rolls Royce of podcasting software has defeated me, so Liz can't actually see what we've recorded. So
no idea.
So I need to do a bit more learning. I'm off to Cardiff this week. Oh, actually, we should have a shout out for the wheelchair rugby guys. Now, how's it going? Hold on.
Because they're up in Sunderland, wheeling about.
So we won 19-18 in the first go. And we are they're in Sunderland for the first WR5s tournament of the season. Obviously I couldn't get there and be at the game, so I'm somewhat frustrated. But Casey Higgins is now the captain, so go well. Yes. And it seems to be all going. There's a bit of an argument going on because the Facebook Live stream from GBWR is only facing court 2, and we're playing on court 1. And there's a debate going on saying, "Can you turn the camera?" And the answer is no. So. But Channel 4 will be showing all the matches from the GBWR Quad Nations in Cardiff this week. This is Team GB and France and Japan and the USA playing each other. They are the 4 top seeds, I believe, in the Paralympics, and I am doing the photography. So I'm going to spend 4 days in Cardiff taking photographs of wheelchair rugby. I'm very excited about it all because I've never done an event on that scale before, and certainly not international. So it should be fun. And then it's back for the East Midlands Derby. So a busy week ahead of me.
Back for the East Midlands Derby. That's going to be very exciting.
Very exciting.
Right.
So that was the Ladies Wot Pod.
That was
episode
it. Yes.
23. Bye, everybody.
Bye.